Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Stand by for launch.
The Force will be with you, always.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Man, I having a great time during the pandemic lockdown. I mean, I know a lot of people are struggling and whatnot, and we can talk about that if you want. But things are going on. One of the big benefits that I like. Good morning, it's BK on the air, by the way. I'm glad that you're able to join me here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF, your shot in the arm of fun and nostalgic geekiness talk radio. I'm having a fun and fantastic time going to see classic movies in our local theater. And I'm sure that there's a theater near you, and we've talked about this before, there's a theater near you probably playing older films because some of the movie theaters are trying to open back up, and the only thing they have to play the only thing they have to show are classic old films from maybe the 70s or the 80s. We've been able to see Jaws, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. I went to see that. I've seen a couple of Harry Potter films in the theater, and right now, locally, our theater that is near us is playing the first Friday the 13th film. If you're a horror film fan from 1980, Friday the 13th is playing, along with Scream and The Matrix, and just to give you an idea of what's out there, Jurassic Park. And they've switched out a few from last week. They do it about every Friday. There's new films will come and old films will stay, and then they'll overlap a few. And another film that they've added that I'm sure everyone's a fan of and want to see is Back to the Future. The Robert Zemeckis film, the very first Back to the Future film, is out and about. Then you can see it. Let me pull up let me get their app here and tell you exactly what's out right now, because this is something due to this pandemic that I think is kind of a fun thing. Yeah, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which we saw last weekend, the first Matrix film with Keanu Reeves, which I think is fantastic. I love The Matrix. Jurassic Park. Oh, and Karate Kid. The first Karate Kid film with Ralph Macchio is playing as well. Pulp Fiction is playing, and Scream. So if you want to check your local listings, for a lot of theaters are doing it, not just the NCG chain. You could check Flashback Cinema. I think it's flashbackcinema.net. So look around. Some of your local theaters are playing old movies because it's the only movies they have to play. And God bless them, because they're trying to open and stay afloat and make some money. You can still get some popcorn and take your kids to see one of the films that you saw in the 80s. You know, if you were a big fan of the Back to the Future movies and you haven't seen Back to the Future in the theater since it was out, go see it. And if your kids have never seen it, take them to see it, or take them to see it on the big screen, because Alan Sanders has talked about this just like I have. You can watch films for years on videotape. Back in the day when videotape was new in the 80s, we could really you can actually get a movie that you love on this tape, in this tape format, and put it in this machine and play it and watch it and then record on it. That was big to us back in the 80s. We thought VCRs were incredible, and they were. Everything that's new technology-wise, when you remember it for the first time, even kids today who have the smart watches and smartphones and stuff, that's going to be old later to them. But now it's new to them, but later on it's going to be old to their kids when they get older. When we were growing up, VCRs were awesome. I couldn't believe that we had a piece of technology where we could actually, I can own a movie. You never could own a movie back before VCRs. I mean, you can own 16 millimeter clips from films and maybe silent shots from Star Wars, or I remember ordering. I remember seeing ads in magazines where you could order 8mm or 16mm clips from Star Wars, but they were silent, but they were just film clips. You could just watch them, and that was it. That's all you could do back before VCRs. Alan's here with me, Alan Sanders.
Good morning. Sorry,
Yeah,
I got detained for a moment, but I'm back.
It's okay.
I'm
You
here.
went Back to the Future.
I was. I missed it. I missed it by 2 minutes.
No, I was talking about the movies that are out in the theater. We love them. We've been to see a few, and I was talking about how it was great back in the 80s and how you can take your kids now, even if they've seen films on video now for years, or DVD or Blu-ray, whatever the format is in the generation that you grow up in. You could take them to see it on the big screen, and you and I are always fascinated by how many we've seen some of these movies, maybe some of them hundreds of times at least. And when we watch them on the big screen again, we're like, wow, I've noticed several things that you can't see no matter what your definition on your flat screen
And
TV
even
is
if it's
at home.
not that, I will say this. When I saw Jaws in the theater, it was so big, it felt like a different movie. I don't care how big your big screen, unless you have a home theater of the size and scope of a movie theater, it's so hard to explain the difference of the feel when your vision is like literally edge to edge filled with what's happening on the screen.
Right, and you're like me. I like an optimum seat. I don't like to sit. Number one, I like to sit in the center of the theater because you're right in the center.
Yep.
I don't want to watch one side or the other. I don't want to sit in the back row because I'm at a theater. I want it to look a little bigger than normal at all. I want to take up a little more of my vision. So some theaters are so big. If you sit in the back row, you're like, that looks like my TV screen that far away. But then again, I don't want to sit in the front row because I don't want that out of proportion angular or whatever view of the film either. I saw Aliens for the first time, and I got there late because I got off of work back in 1986, talking about old movies. I got to one of the theaters. I'm like, Aliens is out, and I got to go see it. I want to see it right now in the daytime. I can't, and I'll go see it later tonight with friends. But I got to see it right now. I was that way back then. It was 3:00. Well, it was already almost sold out at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I rushed to the theater. The only seat was available. This is one of those theaters that didn't have seats in the center only. It had the center aisle, and then it had the two side aisles too, with the aisle
talk about
beside
an old
it.
Theater.
I had to sit all the way on the front row in the far right seat.
Oh my
on the
Lord.
far
That's
right.
not even worth going.
So, but I did. I plunked down my money, watched it, and I spent the whole time looking at Sigourney. I felt like I was looking up Sigourney Weaver's nostrils in some of those close-ups. I'm like, this is so odd. This is so weird. But I still watched it and loved it, and it was a great experience. But I was talking about how you can go see movies now and take your kids with you to see the movies, especially if they've never seen them. If you've got a kid that's never seen, like, Back to the Future or one of the Star Wars films, or name a film, that they're able to go see because of their age. Take them with you. Go, okay. When we went to see The Empire Strikes Back a couple of weeks ago, our buddy Brian, that we've had on the program before, he took his son, who's a big Star Wars fan, very young kid. He's just barely like 14 to 15, I think.
Wait,
and he had never seen the classic Star Wars films in the theater. He'd never seen any of them, but he's a big Star Wars fan. He's seen the new ones. He'd seen, I think, the last for Revenge of the Sith, maybe, I don't know, in the theater on its re-release or something. But he's like, this is how it looked when I saw it, Empire Strikes Back. Let's get popcorn. Let's sit there and watch it. And I shot a look over to them a couple of times while we were watching Empire Strikes Back. I kind of looked over, and I'm like, they got big smiles on their faces, just like I did.
So did you.
You couldn't remove my smile with surgery.
Yeah.
Watching that, it was great.
There is something about now, I can't identify with people who say, I hate movies. Movies are dumb. Movies are a waste of time. I can't.
Oh, I don't even want to talk to them people.
I don't get those individuals because
what?
The cinema experience, I said it in the end of my show, it's something that can join us regardless of where we are in life, our adventures, our jobs. If we can all, how many times have we all just sat around and talked about a movie for an hour? We could just find a movie we can talk about.
Right.
It's something that's universal, and the cinema experience is just... You can't explain it if you've never seen it.
Even if you don't agree on hardly anything else.
Right.
If you come to blows with your opinions on something else. And then even then, you'll find movies you don't agree on, too. You can even get into that, too.
We can get that's a whole different nuance, but the concept of cinema itself.
But if you both back when we were kids, you and I were separated by just a few years, but if we were if we were able to recall that time, I remember when I saw that in the theater. Yeah, I remember that, and you were there, but you were in another theater in Michigan. We had that same like-mindedness of seeing it in the theater, and I think it's great that you can do that. Now, Friday the 13th is playing. I got a story maybe later on. We got a little more time to share about that, and you got a story about Back to the Future, which is playing in the theater right now, which you love. You love the Back to the Future films.
Love Back to the Future. I still think it holds up. When we got the trilogy when it was first put out on DVD, showed the kids. they fell in love with it too. So I have no doubt we'll probably be seeing Back to the Future with a couple of my children.
Right. Well, I'm going to see it probably before it leaves. There's a lot of films that'll be coming out that I love. That are still being released in the theater, which are basically older films and whatnot, but we'll talk about that too. And if you want to talk about it today while we're on the air, anything that you've seen lately, 770-386. Oh, I almost gave out my cell. Didn't you do that? I almost gave out my cell phone number. Can you believe that? No, it's 770-386-1450 is our number. Call us live on the air today, and we can talk about it too. A few more subjects that we're going to talk about today. If I can get my stack of stuff here and look through them, Thor 4 story, but it's Thor: Love and Thunder. Director, what's the director's name? Waititi. Yeah, he's got some story about him coming up. There's a clothing line that you may have seen on television shows. You're like, wardrobe provided by blah, blah, blah on game shows and whatnot in theater and television shows. I got a story about them coming up that you may not know about. And the Jurassic World 3, or Jurassic World Dominion, by the way, has got some. They're doing a great thing, Alan. They're using on the set dinosaurs again more than any other film has ever used, as opposed to CGI. When I read that, I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
And that's why the first Jurassic Park still holds up, because I saw that back in the theater.
And J.J. Abrams uses on the set special effects too, as opposed to CGI. And astronomers too have found something in deep space. I hope it's not too scary. It's BK on the air.
We'll return after these messages.
Super Slurpee. Now at 7-Eleven. It's the biggest, boldest, coldest Slurpee to ever quench a thirst. It's the 32-ounce Super Slurpee. And now 7-Eleven has a fantastic summer offer. Every Super Slurpee comes in a free plastic Superman 4, The Quest for Peace Movie Collector's Cup. 8 in all. 32 ounces of Super Slurpee and Superman 4 Movie Collector's Cups only at today's 7-Eleven.
This man just showered with a new kind of soap. New Lifebuoy Mint Refresher. A soap so loaded with mint, so tangy, so frosty, it drives wives wicked. Every bar of new Lifebuoy Mint Refresher contains the essence of 125 mint leaves. Soap has never smelled this good before, and neither have you. New Lifebuoy Mint Refresher drives wives wicked.
From just beyond your imagination comes Omnibot, the fully programmable robot with a memory. Omnibot, he walks, he talks.
Hi, cutie.
Amaze your friends.
Wow! Intense! Refreshments, Earth-type snacks.
Impress your teacher. Impress your girlfriend. Omnibot, there's romance.
Take my heart.
He's the lean, mean, poppin', breakin' machine. Yes, it's Omnibot, the fully programmable robot. Available now in your neighborhood. You can call me.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. On January 22nd, 1960, The Hitchhiker made its debut on The Twilight Zone and is often regarded as one of its finest episodes. Interestingly, the original story by Lucille Fletcher first made its debut in 1941 on the Orson Welles radio show. Fletcher is also noted for her 1943 story, Sorry, Wrong Number, which was adapted to the big screen in 1958, earning Barbara Stanwyck an Oscar nod. The Hitchhiker was originally written with a male lead, but in an attempt to add dimension to the role of a vulnerable traveler, Serling cast a woman. Having weathered a minor car accident while driving across country, the character of Nan Adams, played by the lovely Inger Stevens, first encounters a hitchhiker. After attempting to ignore him, the man strangely keeps showing up ahead of her on the journey. Eventually, she comes to believe that he intends to harm her, and oddly enough, she can't get help because no one else can actually see him. The twist really hits when Nan tries to call her mother, only to find out she's been hospitalized due to grief, which leads to the perfect Twilight Zone-ish ending. Reportedly, in 1955, Alfred Hitchcock offered to buy the rights to Fletcher's story for his weekly TV series, but his bid was rejected. Coincidentally, the same year this episode aired, Hitchcock released his 1960 masterpiece, Psycho. His film and this Twilight Zone both featured a beautiful yet vulnerable blonde out on the open road. What's more was that composer Bernard Herrmann created the musical soundtracks for both the productions, and he just so happened to be Lucille Fletcher's first husband. Coincidences like this happen, especially in Hollywood, but maybe even more so when you're in the Twilight Zone. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV Trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Pat, for that trip into the Golden Age of television, Golden Rage of TV, by the way. I can't see television. He gets mad. He says it's Golden Rage of TV. I'm like, I know. I'm glad that you changed it for me. I got some movie news, too, by the way, here, switching from television to movie, and I put this up on Facebook. I even shared this on the Wilder Ride listeners group that we're a part of, which is a fantastic story from MovieWeb.com. Jurassic World 3, or Jurassic World Dominion, by the way, or Jurassic Park 6. How do we put these
Dinosaur Movie 6.
That's right. It's got the dinosaur movies. It's got more animatronic dinosaurs than ever before. Now, if you thought that the original movie had CGI only, well, you're wrong, because you'd be wrong, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. They had, for close-ups and whatnot, they had working animatronic remote-controlled dinosaur creatures on the set, which are actually pretty scary looking, especially the T-Rex.
T-Rex was built full size.
He's full size. Those scenes where it comes up near Sam Neill and blows his hat off when it breathes out through its nose, that's a real thing on the set. That's with teeth and everything.
Makes it easier to react as actors off of that.
It scared the kids. I understand, which it
Well, you know, the thing is, you saw the behind the scenes because it's so big that when it got wet, because they wanted to shoot it in the rain to make it dark and scary, when it got a little too heavy, it would start shuddering like it was having like a little anxiety attack. Like,
or it was scared of the kids.
Like a Katharine Hepburn. Hey, you kids, what are you doing?
So you mean when it roared sometimes
they had to like stop shooting and start drying it off and beating it with towels to soak up the water, because the outer skin, this polyurethane or ethylene, whatever skin, would soak up the water and it got too heavy.
Are you saying a Steven Spielberg movie has problems with its creature effect?
Funny, they did the same problem with Jaws.
And it's not a shark? That's great. Well, believe it or not, there are. But this movie, the new one that's coming out, I got the story right here. The original Jurassic Park trilogy managed to add weight and menace to its dinosaur creations, like we were just talking about, by using actual animatronic machines instead of relying completely on CGI. And by the way, Alan and I are fans of that. I mean, we support that, because there comes a time where you can just use something close up and it looks real, because it is real. It's right there and you can touch it and it's tangible. By the time Jurassic World reboot came along, CGI had advanced. Now, I don't agree with that wording it that way. Jurassic World was not a reboot. Do you agree with me?
It's not
a reboot. It's just a sequel.
It's can't
not
be
a reboot. So they said reboot here.
Reboot would have been redoing Jurassic Park, the first movie,
and ignoring the first films and just rebooting it. No, this one acknowledges it. So it's a sequel. So anyway, we're nitpicking fans, and so we should be. Now, by the time Jurassic World came along, CGI had advanced so much that it did most of the heavy lifting when it came to bringing the prehistoric behemoths to life. In an interview with Collider, director Colin Trevorrow revealed that the franchise is going back to its roots for the upcoming Jurassic World Dominion, and once again using animatronic puppetry to create their dinosaurs. Quote, "We've actually gone more practical with every Jurassic movie we've made since the first one, and we've made more animatronics in this one than we have in the previous two. And the thing that I've found, especially in working with the past couple of months, is that we finally reached a point where it's possible to digital extensions and animatronics will be able to match the texture and the level of fidelity that on film an animatronic is going to be able to bring. And you didn't used to be able to really mix them that closely. You could really see the seams where you would add something to an on-set thing. And so that's part of it is very exciting for me," unquote, the director said. Of course, with the massive strides CGI has taken in terms of realism in the past decade, it would be counterproductive to eliminate visuals completely from the film and mix favor of animatronic dinosaur puppets. I would never say go back to the old way totally. You can't do that anymore.
You know,
that would be ridiculous.
It just made me remember why I loved the the Dark Crystal series on Netflix that came out.
Because they did that too, didn't they?
They called it CGI enhancements.
Which they would enhance something on the scene.
They took the puppets, and the puppets moved, and they still all tangible, but things like maybe adding a blink or things like that, where you stop worrying about having a puppeteer worry about that. Give the performance. We can add the blink. We can make irises move. We can enhance the physicality that's really there.
Because people don't know that just simply adding a blink that they have to do mechanically, number one, maybe interferes with the puppet. Another thing you have to do, maybe it cuts down on performing the puppet properly.
Right. Now you need another finger.
That's right. You never have enough fingers, right? Or enough hands. Now, the director explained how the sequel franchise, I'm going to replace the word rebooted with sequel here. Sequel franchise is combining the two special effects discipline to bring the dinosaurs to life on the screen. So that's the whole article from MovieWeb. Read more about it at movieweb.com. That's fantastic news. I love that because watching, I never knew some movies, if they do it well, some of the CGI in the Marvel films. When I was watching Captain America Winter Soldier and seeing the giant, what they call the helicarriers, which are basically aircraft carriers that float in the sky from S.H.I.E.L.D., they were coming up and then they started to crash because they put the code in and shut them down, and they all crashed back down to the ground. It showed the one big effect of the helicarrier falling, and it would tilt, and all the little jets and people and stuff started falling off the side of it. To me, that effect was so, because sometimes you and I can go, it's CGI, I can tell. I couldn't. I mean, it was so flawless. That's the one scene from some of the Marvel films that just stands out as just being the most seamless, clear-looking, non-CGI-looking CGI shot. I mean, that's CGI, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like that's happening. It's so realistic.
The areas that I think is done best still is rather than having matte painters anymore, when you CGI enhance the background, you can actually shoot in a live set where you don't have to build the whole set.
Right.
And yet it still feels like it's there. They can paint in, and I love that. I love when it's subtle CGI.
Right.
I think you and I have said this over multiple episodes of BK on the Air. When you know it's CGI, it somehow feels cheap now. Like before, when they were first coming out, like, look how cool the CGI is. Now you're like,
CGI.
Oh, that's all just CGI.
Right. And that's usually now reserved for the cheaper films anyway, because let's admit it, anybody can do CGI now. Not everyone can do CGI well.
True.
Because, you watch Sharknado or some of the other weirdo B movies, which some are fun to watch. I do agree that they are. But it's just obviously really bad video game looking CGI. It's like, that shark's not even there. That's a cartoon. That's a cartoon. That looks like a cartoon. But another scene from Captain America Civil War, the third Captain America film, I was fooled in the theater again with CGI. I'm watching the fight between the two teams at the airport in Berlin. Okay, set in the airport in Berlin. I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, they must have shot this at Hartsfield Jackson Airport in Atlanta or somewhere in the background, because they're at an airport running around fighting. No, they shot it on the soundstage at Pinewood.
Yep.
And the airport was added in the background. But it doesn't look that way.
No.
It doesn't look that way. It looks like they are outside. The only thing that's real is maybe a few things they're interacting with, like a metal dumpster or something on the ground, and the ground.
That's it.
that they're running on. It's lit
they'll
perfectly.
build just enough to give the artist the textures and the colors to know how to extend it out to whatever, the eye line.
And can we agree that they're artists, by the way?
Artists.
They have to be artists. They're technical artists. Speaking of there, we're going to take a break. We'll flash the audience when we come back here at the bottom of the hour. The news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. All this goofy stuff playing on the TV screen in here is trying to distract me. Oh, look at that.
Hey everyone, Alan Sanders here.
And BK on the air.
We're here to tell you about the fun, informative, and entertaining Saturday morning talk radio right here on WBHF. It's everyone's favorite Saturday show, Waking Up with Alan from 7 a.m. to 10.
Wait a minute. Just hold your horses there. I think everyone knows that BK on the Air is everyone's favorite show on Saturdays.
You know, folks mostly tune in to wake up and hear me on Saturday.
No, sir. I'm kind of the fun bowl of cereal for breakfast, and you're the cup of coffee.
Iron Man.
Captain America.
Chocolate.
Peanut butter.
Addams Family.
Monsters.
Why do you always have to make such a big deal out of everything? Hold it. You said peanut butter, and I said chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Two great shows that sound great together. Well, back to back.
We're the peanut butter cups of Saturday morning.
Tune in to Waking Up with Alan from 7 to 10 a.m.
And me, BK on the air, 10 a.m. till noon.
Listen on our website at WBHFradio.org or use the Tunein radio app.
On 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF.
That's a fake laugh.
It's real.
Peanut butter.
Chocolate. You got peanut butter on my chocolate.
Well, you got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Bravissimo.
Two great tastes that taste great together. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Real milk chocolate. Good old-fashioned peanut butter.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. A long distance directory assistance, every code 212. Say, hey, Ma, this is Mr. Rhythm and Blues.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here, having a good time off the air as I am on the air. Sort of. We just can't let you hear what we're talking about.
Well, sometimes.
The air. Go to the podcast for that. Well, I hear something different on the podcast.
Wait,
which
what do you
reminds
add?
me. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I have to edit anything out.
Have you been recording me off air?
Yeah, it's a new podcast that will premiere next year. You'll
Okay.
see, I'm gathering them all up now.
Instead of Waking Up with Alan, where did Alan go?
It's called BK Off Air. And it's not edited. There's no beeps or anything. No, I'm not doing that. But you can hear me, by the way, if you hear the show on Saturday. Well, you haven't heard it at all because you can hear the BK Escape Pod on SoundCloud, Podbean, and on Anchor, the Anchor app. You get all of those. Even on YouTube, you can hear the show, the BK Escape Pod. It's the podcast version of BK on the Air, which has a whole lot of extra bits, funny bits, goofy bits, and things. I pull things out, but I replace it with other things, which just makes it a lot more. I would say it's almost more
not
interesting.
Not a whole lot of me then.
Right. No, you're still intact. You're the one thing in the director's cut that didn't get taken out. So, which is
did I get an enhancement though?
I CGI'd you a little bit though.
Do I get a Jabba the Hutt scene?
I pumped up your voice a little bit. CGI kind of. That wouldn't be CGI. That would be AUI, audio digital effect or whatever. ADI.
ADR
as well as I can do it, which is not
too good.
Maybe I hurt your voice instead of pumping it up. Well, it's time that we. Oh my goodness, we're going to flash the audience of the news, the weird, and the strange, and the bizarre, like we always do every Saturday.
Yeah, and you've given me the first news.
You see why, right? Why you have it?
Not yet.
Because you're
I'm
French,
going to
right?
read it for the very first time just now.
Well, you are French. Oh, that's why I gave it to you.
Oh, yes. It's from Quebec.
Right.
Okay. Which, by the way, that's how you're supposed to.
I
we all in the United States say Quebec. But if you're from there, you'd say Quebec.
And by the way, speaking of Harry Potter, I never knew that even the actors were saying Voldemort's name wrong. J.K. Rowling came out and said it's pronounced Voldemort. There's no T at the end.
There's no T.
There's
Voldemort.
a T at the end, but you don't say the T. But they do, though. But they do.
because in French, unless you put a vowel behind the letter, you don't pronounce the last letter if it's a consonant. So Voldemort.
I did not know that.
La Mort d'Arthur. See, it's Mort because of the E. La Mort d'Arthur.
I knew that, but I did not know the other thing.
Well, anyway, let's get into this because we're not going to talk about literature. We're talking about UPI, the first in-person check presented to a lottery winner in Quebec since the start of COVID-19 was presented by an official immune to the disease. How did they find him? He's a human-sized robot.
Wow, you're kidding me. Here's your check.
Lotto, Quebec. What does it go?
Or if he's French.
Lotto, Quebec.
Lottery check.
Well, what is it?
What's
Eddie
his
Murphy
name?
once said, everything in French sounds good, including even wiping your butt.
That's right. And everything in German sounds horrible. Sorry, Malty.
All right. Lotto Quebec said it employed the use of a robot designed by a student club at the Montreal-based École de I cannot speak.
No, I
Let's
thought
try
you
that
were
again. The École de Technologie, and in partnership with Centec, to present Guy Lane Desjardins with a check for $4.47 million lottery dollars. Lottery officials said during the ceremony, which was broadcast on Facebook Live, that no human hands had touched the check for 72 hours before the robot handed it over to Desjardins. Desjardins won the jackpot from the July. I sound like Mike Garcia. It's like all of a sudden, as soon as I have a French name, I turn into a Frenchman. See, if I did it in America, I'd be like, Desjardins.
That's why I gave it to you.
Desjardins.
I love that German composer Wagner.
Yeah. Wagner.
Wagner.
Desjardins won her jackpot from the July 1 lottery, but she said it took a while for her to discover her win because she only checks her tickets every 4 or 5 drawings. She said her plans for her winnings include buying a 3-wheeled motorcycle and celebrating with her 2 sons.
A 3-wheeled motorcycle. Okay.
Yeah, well, what do they call those?
Wouldn't be the first thing
What are
I'd
those
think
ones,
of,
the 2 in front and the 1 in the back? What do they call them? They're not
hazards.
No,
because back in the day, I used to ride one. They don't. I don't even think they made the.
They're different than 3-wheelers. There's those.
No, I'm talking about the 3-wheelers. The 3-wheelers were
are really
terribly,
dangerous.
because I rode one in the 80s and I was headed for a tree once, and I'm like, I'm headed for a tree, and I turned the wheel and it kept going straight. Yeah. There's a way you had to lean into those to make them turn, and I didn't know that. So
or it turned and you kept going.
It's like. And
hey,
the
wait
tree,
a minute, why am I still going forward?
Tree and a person, they don't mix.
Remember that scene in Return of the Jedi with the speeder bikes?
On indoor? Yes, that's terrible. No Ewok involved, though, when I was doing it. One of my cousins was there. So now the human-sized robot gave this person the check, at least until we find out a new strain of COVID-19 that affects robots, yes. Because this thing is changing all the time. It's never going away. So,
sorry.
I can't talk. I have a mask on. A mask for they should have put a mask on the robot. That would have been hilarious. I got the next news.
Please stay 6 feet away.
My mask is not on properly. From UPI, a British police department said officers responded to a report of a large apex predator, a black panther, in a public park. What was the Black Panther doing there?
Was the Marvel Cinematic
no,
Universe?
it's a Black Panther, an animal. Horsham police said officers were summoned to a park in the Steyning area of West Sussex, England, on a report of a big cat on the loose. The department said the officers who arrived at the scene didn't immediately realize that what initially appeared to be a Black Panther was actually a stuffed toy.
How big was the toy?
Well, it's a stuffed animal, I do say. It's not what we thought it was.
That's like the story of the cop showing up because there was a body in the road. Turns out it was just, it was just a doll.
What movie do they do that? Oh, in Backdraft. Remember Backdraft with Kurt Russell?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the boys that are actors. Baldwin.
Oh,
the young Baldwin. Steve Baldwin?
Stephen Baldwin, yes.
It's Adam Baldwin. It's
one of the Baldwin brothers is in that.
They were going to he rescued this woman from the fire in the tailor clothing shop or whatever, and he ran out and he wound up noticing it was a mannequin, and they all made fun of him.
Yeah, didn't they bring like a mannequin into the firehouse?
The mannequin that he saved, they put it in there. That was terrible.
In case you get lonely tonight.
Hey, he thought he was doing his job.
All right, I've got the next news.
I would so do something like that if I became a fireman. I'd make a mistake like that.
An 11-year-old Ohio boy vacationing with his family in Florida discovered what his family believes could be a new record for the world's largest sand dollar.
They don't get that big, do they? How big is it?
Well, Siler Elliott, age 11, of Newark, was visiting family in Destin when he took a boat ride with his father and uncle. Elliott said he spotted a sand dollar under the water and decided to dive 12 to 15 feet down to go retrieve it. Elliott's family said the sand dollar is being kept safe in a box until it can be examined by Guinness World Records. They said it's about 6 inches in diameter. That's a big sand dollar.
That's more like a sand $10 bill, or sand $20.
You can buy a hotel.
That's huge.
You can buy the coral reef with that.
I wonder if he did that free diving or with scuba gear, because we talked about that. I can't hold my breath long.
I can go down to 12 to 15 feet. After that, I start going, okay, without gear, I'm not that trained because we've been diving in the lake lately.
Oh, I can't.
And I know how far I can go before I'm like, it's time to reverse. And I'm like, we're deep.
Because remember, you got to have just as much time to go back up.
Correct.
As you had to go down. Well, sometimes you go up quicker unless you're way down there. You're not supposed to go up that fast if you're in the ocean like that. Oh, yeah, I'm married to a diver. I know all that stuff. I don't do it, but she educated me.
I love diving.
I got the next news. This is from UPI. Firefighters in New York came to the rescue of 2 people when their inflatable swan float was carried away by fast-moving current and ended up in the path of marine traffic.
Oh, my God.
One of those big swans, you can get on. Sorry. I read this earlier and I was laughing because I'm getting the visual. And there's a photo with it. The New York City Police Department said officials received a report of multiple people in the water near East 55th Street in Manhattan, and the FDNY Marine Unit arrived to find 2 people in a swan float that had swept away by the swift current. The inflatable swan and his passengers had ended up in the path of marine traffic. The people were safely rescued and were examined by EMS personnel for, injuries or bruised ego or the other problems that they had.
That's funny.
And thank goodness they did not require further medical attention. No word on the Swan, whether it needed any patching up or anything like that. That would be terrible, especially if they do video or make the news. Would you hate? I would hate being the guy coming off of that going, oh my God. That's where I would cover up my face like I'm a criminal, not on. I don't want to be
seen. And it's
seen.
not like those inflatables have like a way to move yourself.
No.
You're kind of at the whim of wherever you go.
And let's just say this. Number two, they're just stupid looking if you're on one anyway. I'm on a giant inflatable white swan. And millions of people now have seen you on it. I'd be like, no, we don't need help. No, just go away. I don't need rescuing. We've
nothing to see here.
It's terrible. We got one more news. We got one more news flash when we come back. You'll love this one because it has a movie tie-in. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Captain America, and I'm here to talk to you about one of the most important weapons in any soldier's arsenal, math. As a soldier and as an Avenger, I've seen some pretty exciting things. But you know what's really exciting? Reading.
You know, the gill straps aren't really moving. They're being robbed. These crooks know the gill straps are out of town, so they're trying to move the gill straps permanently. They figure they look like movers, they act like movers, so who's gonna know? The Joneses. They know.
Dad, aren't the gill straps in Toledo?
I think they're being robbed. Should we call the police?
Call the police. See, the Joneses know. If they don't tell the cops now, the gill straps will have to tell them later.
Hello, this is Harry.
Meanwhile, these fellas are eating lunch, about a block away.
421.
Hey, hot pastrami. That looks very good.
35 in progress.
10-4.
Take it easy, huh? How about that? Know what it takes to stop a crime? Your help and your neighbors. Find out more. Write to Box 6600 Rockville, Maryland, and help take a bite out of crime.
Technical talk off the air. We're talking about microphones and things walking by the window here and things like
that.
It's
the Kim Commando show.
Stuff that I get some of it, but I can't talk the whole. I can't talk most of that. I can't walk most of that walk and talk the talk. I can do a little bit of it. So, yeah. But what I can talk about is the nostalgic geekiness, goofy stuff. And Alan's got one last one, don't you?
I do have one more news. And while I'll let you pick up the phone if you want to chat, we'll find out who that is. In the background, I will say we've got this story from UPI. The Guardia de Finanza Financial Police said customs officers checked the contents of the package after they noticed it was addressed to Santino D'Antonio.
Why does that name sound familiar to me?
Let's see, Santino D'Antonio.
Yeah, why is that familiar?
A fictional organized crime boss from the movie John Wick, Chapter 2.
There you go. Why is it addressed to him?
Whoops. Investigators discovered the package contained more than 500 coffee beans, which had been hollowed out and then filled with...
Oh, wait.
Care to take a guess?
Yeah, let me guess. Filled with... more coffee.
No.
Filled with coffee grounds.
Red Bull, so that we get twice. No,
right.
No, not Red Bull.
Filled with candy.
No, don't remember the very first Beverly Hills Cop movie when we packed things in coffee grounds?
They weren't filled with that, were they?
Yes, cocaine. Talk about a coffee bean with a kick.
They had a single from Eric Clapton in there. Oh no, that's not
cocaine.
Wow, how
hey,
stupid.
She don't lie. She don't lie. And she don't lie.
Coffee beans with cocaine.
Well, apparently they've been hollowed out with cocaine and reassembled with dark brown tape to cover the hole.
Ingenious.
Police said a 50-year-old man who attempted to claim the package at a tobacco shop in Florence was immediately arrested.
That's more stupid. He should have filed that under
apparently
stupid criminals.
She does lie.
Cocaine. Oh, we turned to a classic rock station here for a minute. 770-386-1450 is our number, by the way. Oh, somebody's calling right now on the line. Hey, it's BK on the air. Who's this?
Hey, yeah, give me just half a second. Get ready. All right, I was getting a cup of coffee, and the wife come in. She said, I think they're wanting you to call in the radio station. I said, why? She said, they said something about strange and weird. I said, okay, I'll get call.
and coffee. We're just talking about coffee beans, too, by the way, but had something different in it. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing great. By the way, the next episode of the Blue Blood, the police commissioner is one found on the Swan.
Oh, really? On the Swan, the floating swan? Wouldn't that be embarrassing to be on one of those giant, ugly, stupid floating swans and get caught like in a current and then everybody get on camera and you got to take the walk of shame off of it and get your photo taken? That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
been there and done that.
Oh, you've already done it, and it was embarrassing too. So, wow, that's pretty funny. I think they're kind of stupid anyway, and I kind of stay away from. When we're at the ocean having fun in the Gulf of Mexico, if I use a float just to relax or whatever, I get the most low key, less recognizable.
You don't have
thing.
the rainbow unicorn with wings.
I don't have anything like that. As much as I'd love a giant shark one, which are really cool because I love sharks, I just don't want to. I don't need attention brought to myself in the water because I'm about as graceful in the water as I am on roller skates.
Hey, about the stupidest thing I saw a couple of years ago was down at St. George Island. And this kid got attacked by a shark, bit by a shark.
Right.
He had live bait in his pants pocket and walked out on the reef to fish.
Wow.
That's a smart guy.
So he had this sign that said, "Sharks, anything, come and eat me. I'm ready to be devoured." Start that chum line, Chief. And you put your.
All right, guys, I've run out of gas.
All right,
See you, buddy.
I run out of gas.
Thanks, Jeff. Talk to you soon. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You got
Keep
the
that chum
in your-
line going. We got 5 good miles on them, Cheevy.
Your pocket.
I have heard of people doing that.
That's
They're
just-
so used
they
to
just
fishing in the
forget?
surf, and they go out further than they intend to.
Oh,
And
no,
next thing you
really?
know, because their waist is underwater, all the
Right.
fish oils and stuff are leaking out of their shorts. And of course, you know how far away a shark can smell. In parts
It's
per million?
quite. It's like me when I get close to a barbecue place. Yeah, I'm like that with barbecue.
Exactly.
I can detect. We could be like 20 miles away. I'm like, honey, wait.
There's barbecue that way.
Yeah, drive forward, then turn right at the next exit. I sense pork barbecue.
I sense it.
It's being
Yeah.
smoked.
Tip to you if you're going to do some saltwater fishing. If you think you put bait in your pocket is the smart thing to do, don't go underneath the water.
No, and by the way, they can smell you if you don't have anything. Sharks can smell you in the water. You know, they detect movement and whatnot. You know, and then they're like, don't cut yourself. Don't put any blood in the water. You know, like the kid, like a kid from Jaws. He come up, you know, when he cut his hand, he's like, "Look, Mom, I got hit by a vampire."
Yeah.
It's bloody hand. You know, it's like stay out of the
You
water.
were playing on the swings again. I told you I had to get those things fixed.
Chief Brody, the least of your problems is those swings. Believe me, you got a much bigger problem brewing.
I bet he wished he could go back to that day before the phone rang.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I want to do the shark thing. No,
I don't remember the sun hitting us this first in the morning.
Or do what Mrs. Brody said. Let's move back to New York. I'd rather work police in the New York City again. It's safer.
It's safer
than
in New
this
York.
place out here in Martha's.
All I had to worry about was like killers and muggers.
Oh, speaking of that, did you see the story? I didn't print it out because I forgot, but I just remembered it talking. Jaws always comes up with us. Eventually, we're going to get back to Jaws, the movie, because we just love it so much. They've lately, I think it was this week or last week, up in where they filmed Jaws, the whole Martha's Vineyard area up in the Northeast, have noticed some dead and damaged seals and whatnot, and they think there's a great white shark up there off the coast of Martha's Vineyard.
Well, I mean, it's cold enough that far north in the Atlantic to support great whites, and there are great whites that have hit that area.
How crazy would that be to have another one?
To have a real
big
one.
Story, talk about that. And there's always, I don't care when it is, when I'm in the ocean, when I go swimming, there's always just one little tiny split second where I go, it could be a shark out here and I wouldn't know it. Or name an animal, barracuda, something that could bite you, something, because you're swimming in their menu.
Let me alleviate your fear. There will be one.
Yeah, there's one. You
there
just
are
probably didn't see
always
it.
around you.
But it doesn't affect me to the point where I don't have fun and can't go in the water. Some people just can't do it.
No.
They're like, I'm not swimming out there. There's sharks. I'm like, do you drive on the interstate? Well, yeah. Well, you can get killed that way too. There's actually more of a chance you getting killed driving than by a shark.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people that never fly. Oh, I'll never get in an airplane. Oh, you won't? Will you drive 285 in Atlanta? Oh, yeah, I drive it every day. Well, where's that logic going?
It's that psychological thing, but I'm driving. I know it won't happen to me. If somebody else is flying, I have no control.
Everybody that got hit thought that, I guess. But I do think that in the water sometimes when I'm flopping around out there. I'm
The
like,
only time I ever get really nervous in the water is when something does bump.
Yeah, and you don't really know what it is.
Because there's so many fish swimming around, and there's things. It could be anything.
Turtle.
From,
it could be anything.
Yeah. And you just feel like, okay, something just bumped me.
Could be a miniature
submarine.
Could
have been a shark. You don't know.
Miniature
but
sub.
Submarine.
Could be anything. Small one, real small one.
I was hoping it was my wife. It wasn't.
Alan's like, oh, no, it's her. I wish it would have been a shark because I'm in trouble. She's mad at me.
No, I mean, that's because sometimes in the ocean, depending where you're swimming, it's not as clear. And a lot of people, I know people who won't swim in lakes because they can't see the bottom.
Right, and they've said, sharks don't sharks don't show up here because it's too warm. I'm like, well, tell that to the 3 YouTube videos I've seen of sharks in the water in the Gulf off the coast of Florida.
Oh, no, there's a lot of sharks
They do show up there. I mean, you can't.
Great whites won't.
And
but
there was a great white spotted in the Gulf a couple of years ago.
Of Mexico?
Of Gulf Shores, Alabama, a recorded giant. I mean, it was a great white shark, so they said, because they were trying to identify what it through the water from a helicopter, because it was pretty big proportion.
I'd have to see that.
It's not impossible that one could show up or whatever.
But there are other sharks. Actually, what's funny is the most dangerous shark you could ever run into is a bull shark.
Yes.
Those are the ones that kill more people because they swim in like 5 feet of water and they stay close to piers and docks. They're only about 5 or 6 feet long.
Right.
But once they bite, they don't let go.
Right. They're the they're the snapping turtles of the shark world.
Bull sharks are nasty.
And they're aggressive. And tiger sharks are more frequent than any other.
Tiger sharks, you can find more of those on in like Hawaii and stuff.
I don't want to have an encounter with one. I do think it's fascinating, but
hammerheads actually can be vicious because they travel in schools.
They caught a hammerhead off the coast of North Carolina once when I was up in South Carolina, off of a pier near where I was swimming the day before. 1 year. I'm like,
hammerheads.
Okay.
The problem with them, they'll frenzy very easily.
But it's not going to keep me from. I mean, it's just a danger that you put up with, and we got people looking at us through the window.
It's trying to explain that to people about like snakes and spiders.
He's got a Texas T-shirt on. That's okay. He should have Alabama Crimson Tide on, but that's all right. Like I can talk sports. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, wait. Where's your buzzer?
I'm trying to talk about.
You just did a sports thing.
Yeah.
Voluntarily.
Why did I do that?
I don't know. Is the volume up even?
I don't think the buzzer's working. Is the buzzer working?
I don't know. Is your volume up?
Let me try it again.
The wall.
Sports. Okay, that's working. It must not have heard me.
There you go. It was it was on a COVID break. It was somewhere else.
You know what? I'm going to change it to that, to COVID alert. If you start talking about coronavirus, the alarm's going to go off because it just it makes me mad.
I'm just going to wrap this up. The thing about sharks, because I'm fascinated by sharks, thanks to Jaws. I've been fascinated my whole life.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Just like with snakes and spiders, the vast majority of the quote snakes and spiders out there won't hurt you. Vast majority of sharks won't hurt you.
Right.
But because there's a handful that will bite and there's a handful that are bigger.
Everyone's seen it.
Everybody freaks out. So. Chances are you can swim around 4 or 5 foot sharks all day long and they're not going to bother you because, first of all, you're too big to be worth it. And second, you're not what they eat.
The wife was diving one time I think in the Caribbean or somewhere. I can't remember where she was. And she's a dive master, so she's dived in deep water. And you get in that current that kind of pulls you along under the water, until you get out of it. You have to just kind of go along with it. And she stopped for a little while and looked down, deep down under her, and just saw a whole school of hammerheads going by. But they were way below her. She was I was a little concerned, but she's just that way. She's that type A diver where she's like, it doesn't really bother me. I go cave diving, where you have to squeeze through these cave dives and stuff. I'm like, honey, there's no way in the world. I'll sit up on the boat and eat a burger while you do it and go, hey, have fun. Good job.
More food for me.
That's right. I'll just eat it all. It's BK on the air. We'll be back.
America is on the go from Maine to the Grand Canyon with a portable radio as a traveling companion. America is on the go, Detroit to San Diego with a portable radio, a toteable, packable, portable radio. WBHF.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
The Force will be with you. Always.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Greetings to all serving bravely on the Galactic Peace Orbiter, the Death Star. It's time for Star Wars Daily Weekend Edition, brought to you this week by Toydarian Toys, Palpy's Force Fried Chicken Shack, and ChannelStarWars.com. Star Wars news for Star Wars fans by Star Wars fans. Faster than a pair of proton torpedoes, I'm your host, Mike Mann.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
First up, the 2020 Comic-Con International San Diego, better known as simply Comic-Con, is taking place from July 22nd to July 26th. That's literally right now. However, this year, the event has a different platform for attendees due to unforeseen circumstances. 19. Fans can go from the comfort of their own home as Comic-Con is being streamed live by the organizers on the official YouTube page. With this, one can also go check out all of the new Star Wars merchandise at their leisure. From collectibles of all sorts, to clothing, to anything else Star Warsy, this year's event doesn't let down in that regard. Definitely a must check out. So this afternoon, make some time to go see all the festivities at the 2020 International Comic-Con San Diego on YouTube.
Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize.
Next, we have Star Wars Dr. Aphra, an audiobook original from Random House, written by Sarah Kuhn and featuring a full voice cast. This Star Wars story ties in events from 3 different Marvel comic series, including the first 25 issues of Darth Vader, the Rebel Jail arc of the main Star Wars title, and the Star Wars Vader Down crossover event. While following the dialogue and events of these series, the event is told through the first person of Dr. Aphra. Who is Dr. Aphra, you might ask? Dr. Shelley Lona Aphra is an archaeologist who happenstanced her way to the employment under Darth Vader before she became the Hunted. She also brings along the anti-version of our favorite droids in the assassin form of 000 and BT-1, C-3PO and R2-D2 respectively. You'll want to make it a point to check out Star Wars Dr. Aphra, an audiobook original, as the good doctor will be making her live-action debut in The Mandalorian Season 2 this fall. Can't wait to see that.
What of the rebellion? If the rebels have obtained a complete technical readout of the station, it is possible, however unlikely, that they might find a weakness and exploit it.
And lastly, Galaxy's Edge has retailed its way to Target. Yes, that's right. In a few weeks, Target will begin selling various Galaxy's Edge-inspired toys, clothing, and other merchandise. While you won't be able to build your own lightsaber, what? That's a bunch of BS. You will be able to purchase items from all your Star Wars favorites, such as Funko, Hasbro The Vintage Collection, and the Black Series, and Lego, just to name a few. The display for all these goodies is even Batuu-centric. It makes us at Channel Star Wars wonder how long we could go and just hang out there before security escorts us out. Be sure to check out your local Target or online at Target.com starting August 30th.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Before we go, we here at Channel Star Wars would like to wish our news correspondent, Mike Mann, a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mike.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
That's all the time we have this week. Tune back in next week for all the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. For ChannelStarWars.com, I'm Mike Mann reminding you,
you're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
And now, back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Mike Mann with Channel Star Wars. Check them out, ChannelStarWars.com. Everything Star Wars. By the way, I wanted to remind you that when I went to see The Empire Strikes Back a couple of weekends ago, and it is the Star Wars segment, so we can talk about that. Or we can talk about it anytime. Who cares?
Wait a minute. It is
Jaws and
show.
Star Wars, they're anytime talk about. Watching The Empire Strikes Back, how we notice things on the big screen that we never noticed before. When Chewbacca's running back to the Millennium Falcon on Cloud City where they're trying to escape and go after Han and get off of it really fast, he's got 3PO on his back because he can't walk. He doesn't have his legs on. Well, he's bumping into the Falcon's hangar bay door that comes down. He's bumping his head, and he's like, "Oh, stop it!" His head hits one of the pieces that's like glued onto the side of the set, the prop, and it almost comes off. It looks like
really
that little thing's almost not 3PO's head almost knocks that off, and I've never noticed that before. Just
that's awesome.
Little stupid thing.
Well, see, I had something that happened with Raiders like that because I knew from the analysis of Raiders that in the scene where just after Marion supposedly dies and there's a slow push in, he's got the monkeys drinking and there's a crowd behind him.
Oh, you told me this. And I looked at it after you told me.
You can't see it on TV as well unless you know to look for it. But on the big screen, here comes a dude in just a T-shirt and walking through.
On the left side of the screen.
Yeah. You know, just like totally oblivious that they're shooting live film at that point.
What is that guy from 1981 doing walking in the background
in the Marrakesh in 1933?
Wearing those clothes.
Not Marrakesh. I guess it's Cairo.
And you see it. You can never unsee it now once you see things.
That's
like
the problem. When you find those little errors. I remember I did that with Blazing Saddles. I ruined it for one of our guests. They were on the minute where, when the sheriff shows up into town and then just as everything comes to a dead silence and he stops and then the sign rolls itself up, the welcome sheriff. I was like, you notice the guy pulls it and he this little jerk and he pulls it and lets it go. He's like, no, it just rolls up on its own. I'm like, no if you watch. He's like, oh my God, I've watched this movie like 100 times. I've never noticed that. And now I cannot unsee the guy in the brown suit is the one who reaches over and tugs it just enough to make it roll up.
Things like that happen all the time. I'm watching the old Star Trek TV series years later, and the episode called the Galileo 7 when Spock and several other crew members are stranded on a planet and they crash a shuttle there and they can't get off because of it's damaged or whatnot. And there's a scene where they get off of the shuttle. They have a full-size shuttle they built for the exterior of the shuttlecraft. They get out of the shuttle, and when they get out, the doors close. It's Star Trek. They close automatically because they're sci-fi. Star Trek. Well, now when you watch it, you're like, once someone pointed it out to me, I'm like, oh, okay. You see the stage prop guy's hand at the corner, close it. I'm like, I cannot ever not see that now.
Can't
like, thanks for showing me that. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Raiders, Paul Freeman, the actor who played Belloc. The guy plays Belloc. Paul Freeman. He's in a new television show that my wife is watching with the girl from what's the girl's name from Castle?
Oh,
the actress, you know who I'm talking about. She's got that Russian name, but her parents are Russian. She was in Castle with the guy from Firefly. What's his name?
I don't know.
One of your favorite guys.
I know. I can't.
You can't think of
my brain is not working at all right now. You throw me for a loop.
What is this guy's name?
I don't know. There's a lot of people yelling at me right now.
Why can't we think of these things? We're just talking about this on your show
Captain
earlier.
Hot Pants. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, played
Captain
sort of Wonder Man in Marvel, but they didn't show him.
He was in The Rookie.
Yeah.
What the heck is his name?
You love the guy. You got a man crush on him. Who is he?
Well, I do.
He played in... why can't I think of his name? Anyway, the thing I was trying to say was Paul Freeman is in this new show, and I can never not see the bug crawling his mouth in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, I know.
Nathan Fillion.
And
I didn't even have to look it up thinking this. I brought it in the back of my brain. Jeez. What is wrong with us?
I'm going to turn in my BK on the air card.
No, I got to turn mine in. Who's going to do the show now? I have to turn mine in, too.
I feel so stupid.
It's terrible. Yeah, there are a lot of people
screaming. You know how your brain's way
now.
Over here, and you say go over there?
I'm just too far ahead. Yeah. I'm too far ahead in my brain.
Too late.
Speak on there. We'll be back. I hope.
Superman, man, am I glad to see you.
What are you doing on this deserted road?
Some guys from school drove out here and we're going to start fooling around with drugs. When I told them all drugs do is mess up your head and get you in a lot of trouble, they kicked me out of the van and drove off.
You're right not to get involved in the drug scene. Nobody with any sense wants any part of it.
How do I get home?
That's no problem at all.
It's okay if you don't understand what he's talking about. He probably doesn't either. It's BK on the air on AM 1450, FM 100.3, and online using the Tunein radio app.
Certainly true when it comes to trying to think of Nathan Fillion's name. Not only do I not know what I'm talking about, I can't even talk and think of his name.
I feel like the guy is like, I will call him George, and I will love him and squeeze him and hug him and squeeze him.
Okay, the people that we really... Okay, let's just say this. If it ever happens to us and we can't recall something like... If you can't... Oh, Alan, what's the name of that movie with the shark with Roy Scheider?
Oh, if that happens...
If you can't recall Jaws or Star Wars or Kenneth Branagh... If I can't remember... Oh, who played Captain Kirk? If I can't do that...
happens to you...
Hang us both out on the line to dry.
Well, there'll be a bed for you at the Hickory Log men's facility.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, I don't want to have to go through that. Because I hope it's not heading that direction. Let's go back in time and celebrate this day in history. July the 25th on this day, 1946, at Club 500 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis staged their first show as a comedy team on this day in history in 1946.
That's
and did
crazy.
you know they broke up, I think, 10 years to the day they started in 1956. They broke up, yeah. And
They
it's
were only
crazy.
together for 10 years?
Believe it or not, they were. And isn't that weird? They were considered one of the best comedy duo. And they reunited briefly. They never got together again ever. Something happened between them. They still called each other and
Isn't
were
it
friends.
amazing? All those duos had something going on. Because we found out Abbott and Costello had issues with each other.
Yep.
And Stan Laurel and Laurel
had problems, yeah.
Laurel and Hardy, there you go. They had issues.
1976, Frank Sinatra brought Dean to one of the telethons and surprised Jerry with him. And you could see that it was emotional, and they were happy to see each other. It was just very touching. If you've never seen that clip, I'll send it to you on one of the things where they reunite at the telethon. It was for a good cause, which was good. So on this day, July the 25th, 1964, the Beatles' album A Hard Day's Night goes to number 1 and stays number 1 for 14 weeks straight. We got a lot of music anniversaries, and I'll show you what else
I'm
I've
going
got
to have
coming
to add one to your
Already
list.
got it. I bet I already got it.
Did you put it in there?
Already got it.
For me?
Yep. 1975. Let's do this one, though. I'm doing them in order. 1975, David Bowie releases Fame, the song Fame, which to me is one of my favorite songs by him is Fame. And they even remixed it for the 90s and re-released it again. Do you know who's singing that in the background with him? And I only learned this later on in life. Singing Fame with David Bowie is John Lennon is singing in the background with him.
Is that who that is?
Is the backup vocals, yeah. Because they were pals. 1980 movie anniversary. Today, my favorite sports film opened on this day.
Wait a minute, hold
July
on.
the 25th. Caddyshack.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
now it makes sense.
it's golf, right? It's about golf. And one of my favorite comedies, too. Fantastic, funny movie. On this day, July 25th, 1983, Metallica's debut album, Kill 'Em All, is released on Megaforce Records.
Megaforce, an independent label. Awesome.
Now, we were talking earlier on your show, not on this one. I never, they never had a album title called Unicorns and Flowers and Butterflies, right?
No.
They all were
Well, I can't even tell you what the album title was supposed to be.
Oh, really?
They changed the name at the last
Can you
minute.
kind of tell me in an edited way where
yeah,
I'll still get
I
it?
can do a clean version. It was going to be called Metal Up Your Butt.
Okay.
But it wasn't butt.
Cow turd.
Okay, good. All right.
Now, you will find that out in the podcast episode.
Wait.
I do mention that as a trivia item.
It's like History of the World. Wait, I get it. I get it. 1990. Listen to this. This is going to make you feel old. 30 years ago was 1990. That was 30 years ago. I don't think of it as 30 years ago.
Back to the Future.
But it was. You're right. If we filmed it today, we'd go back to 1990, 30 years. Roseanne Barr sings the national anthem at the Cincinnati Reds San Diego Padres game, and everybody just booed her and
Isn't
everything.
that where she embarrassed herself? She tried to act like a guy and scratched herself and spit after it.
The now more outrageous of the incident is that it was 30 years ago. That's what I'm more like, oh, I can't believe that was. I remember that. It was like it was yesterday. I remember that. Birthdays today. Matt LeBlanc, his birthday is today. Estelle Getty, his birthday today from the Golden Girls. She died in 2008. And actress, model Iman. Remember Iman? Her?
Yeah, funny because she was married, or maybe still is married to David Bowie.
Right, she might still be married to him. She also was in the movie No Way Out with Kevin Costner, which was a fantastic film with Sean Young.
But
And
there's
No Way
a
Out.
Star Trek connection.
Yep, she was also in Star Trek 6. You know I was going to have that on there. Just doing an order.
Just making sure.
The Undiscovered Country.
I have to regain my BK card after that last segment.
She played the shapeshifter. Yeah, but it would have been terrible if you'd have went, yeah, but wasn't she in that sci-fi movie? What was it called? Oh, I can't remember what it was.
But she turned into him.
She did, and that was one of the funniest parts of the movie. I can't believe I kissed you. Must have been your lifelong ambition. One of the best scenes in the film. Right. Well, we were talking about music anniversaries and whatnot. Metallica had something on there. David Bowie released a song on this date in history. And another group, their album, classic rock album and classic rock group. You can't get more classic rock than this. Their album was released today 40 years ago.
40?
It's the album Back in Black, but this is the song You Shook Me All Night Long from Back in Black, and I play that because I first heard this song. You ever went to we go to amusement parks, but did you ever go to local fairs in Michigan growing up?
Yeah,
like it had
absolutely.
like in parking lots,
Yeah.
wherever you had the fair carnival set up.
Yeah, we call them carnivals.
1980, I was at a carnival in Alabama, in my local town of Alabama, and this song was playing in the background. I'm like, man, that's a great song. What is that? That's awesome. I'd never heard AC/DC, I don't think, before. I hadn't, didn't know who it was. But that's the first place I heard You Shook Me All Night Long, which is still kind of one of my favorite songs by them. From a great album. By the way, Back in Black is the 7th studio album by Australian rock band AC/DC. We all know that, but here's the history behind it. It was released on this day in 1980 by Albert Productions and Atlantic Records. It is the band's first album. This is what fascinates the heck out of me. It was their first album to feature vocalist Brian Johnson following the death of Bon Scott, their vocalist before. After the commercial breakthrough of their 1979 album Highway to Hell, AC/DC was planning to record a follow-up, but in February 1980, Scott died from alcohol poisoning after drinking. He went on one of those rock and roll drinking binges. And get this, instead of disbanding, like some groups were, we can't go on, this is terrible, we can't do that, which some people would do that, they decided to continue on, recruited Johnson as their lead singer, and some would say enjoyed even more success in the later on, and just continued to roll out hits and be successful after that. They didn't give up; they kept going forward.
I would love to interview any of the members of the band, because I would probably argue that the reason they brought in, first of all, Brian Johnson, great singer.
Oh yeah,
he had that same gravel sense, not quite as nasally
kind
as Bon
screamings, the lyrics,
but he could do that. But I think when you lose somebody to your band and you're on the edge of losing your career, it may have woke them up a little bit, and then they got a little more focused on the music and the writing. And I'll tell you what, they exploded. Back in Black.
They did, and what an amazing.
Everyone had that. I don't care what.
It's amazing.
I had friends who were into the rap scene, into the country scene. Everyone still had You Shook Me All Night Long as a single, or had Back in Black as an album. It was one of those ones everyone owned it.
And I'd throw also into that too. It's funny you should say that. Another one that everyone had was the Bad Company album. No matter if you were a country fan or what you just said, Bad Company was another one of those, back then, was one of those groups where everybody had it. And I always talk about how their singing style, the first singer, Bon Scott, especially Bon Scott, and the newer guy, I always said, AC/DC, I guess to be a lead singer for AC/DC, you'd have to record your lyrics in the bathroom on the toilet when you had to go really bad while you're sitting there and you're having problems. That's when you scream the lyrics.
You should see if we could pull it up and do it on a break. Jim Brewer, the comedian,
I know, from Saturday Night Live.
hysterical segment. He goes, if you sing like Brian Johnson, anything could sound like an AC/DC song, and he does the hokey pokey.
You put your left foot in! You put it out!
And they could make a AC/DC song out of it. It would sound just
and
like
he has the drummer behind him. It's like he does that 4/4 rhythm, whatever that is. Just like, and I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like an AC/DC song.
and talk about them all you want. I loved it, AC/DC. I think there's some groups that come out where every song they had I liked. AC/DC is one of them. Now I'll go into other genres. There was an R&B group called Earth, Wind and Fire that had all kinds of hits.
Disparaging sounds.
But talk about every song they had was fantastic, and I loved every one of them. I can't say that about everybody. I love a lot of Michael Jackson songs, a lot of the early ones. His later ones, didn't care for it, didn't like them as much. Some groups I like every song they did. You probably at least like every song Metallica did, probably. Yes. You don't really hate
there are
any
some
of the
that I'm like, it's weak, or they've tried for a new sound.
But you didn't hate. It's like Marvel films. You didn't hate it.
No, didn't hate it. If I had to rank them, there's some that'll be at the bottom. Something's got to be at the bottom.
Bad Company would be another one. Every one of their songs they had. I'm not talking about every album they had or whatever. Some of the albums are better than the others. Some songs, but I think Back in Black is the one where I think it was almost every song was a hit that they released, or they released a lot of songs that were hits.
So many songs from that album, and then when they released what was the name of the album that Thunderstruck is on? But Thunderstruck had. That's today. Everyone uses that for a theme. Or,
because it has such a great opening.
Kneel Before the Money, Money Talks. Right. That song is everybody knows. It's just that was a great album. And then honestly, the best part about the Stephen King directed Who Made Who is the song from it, but All the Machines Come to Life, Maximum Overdrive.
See, we didn't have to look that up.
So, AC/DC's album, the soundtrack to it, is 10 times better than the movie.
Another instance where that's the case. The soundtrack's better.
I didn't know this about Stephen King. He's a huge AC/DC fan.
Really? Well,
so
maybe that's
when he got famous, like he got all of his money, because he lives in Bangor, like a little small town.
Right.
he bought the local radio station so it could be reprogrammed to play.
The radio station.
He did. He wanted to have more AC/DC playing on the radio.
Let's check and see how much this one would be. Let's just buy this one, see if we can't get some funds. You and I
play AC/DC?
Yeah, we'll do whatever we want. Yeah. Eric, call back. I had Eric on hold, and he couldn't wait. So call back after the break, and we'll take you, Eric. Sorry about that. BK on there. We're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll be back with more.
Stand by for action. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
WBHF in Cartersville.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here.
That's so horrible.
What? I love that. I love that old-fashioned
there's no
ID.
doubt.
We can play it on this show. I think it fits.
You want something that says, hey, play me something that sounds old.
It's like WKRP
There
in
you go.
Cincinnati. That's kind of old. 770-386-1450 is our number. Eric was on. Well, they had something.
Now, if we had a Lonnie Anderson working here, he'd play whatever you want.
Hey, we got a Lonnie Anderson. What's the lady's name that works up front? We got 2 or 3.
I'm not going to call her a Lonnie Anderson.
No,
I think she's going to take offense.
I think that would be a compliment. She's our Jennifer. Friend.
We better get to our caller before he
we
gets
will.
madder.
Let me tell everybody this right quick. All right, Eric, stay on hold. I'll remember you this time. Today is National Merry-Go-Round Day.
Okay.
There's a lot of these today. Listen to this. National Hot Fudge Sundae Day today. We could do that.
Well, I could do a hot fudge sundae as a treat.
It's National Threading the Needle Day.
Something we do every day here on the air.
And miss it quite often.
How do you know what content to say and not to say?
We didn't wet the end to put it through the end of the needle.
We thread that needle.
It's National Hire a Veteran Day today, which is great. National Wine and Cheese Day today.
Okay.
I got the cheese. How about the wine? Are we there yet?
My kids are just National Wine Day, but we spell that WHINE.
That's right. That's what I want.
Stop whining.
I wonder if the Booth Western Art Museum knows this. Today is National Day of the Cowboy. Today.
Really?
It's the 4th Saturday in July every month. I wonder if they're doing anything today. Well, I don't know. That's Dirty Harry.
It's still Clint Eastwood.
But it's
Clint Eastwood's the same character in every movie.
Oh, no, he's not. He's not. His acting is diverse, man. He can do just about any role he wants. You ever seen him do Shakespeare?
No.
No? Okay.
I just remember when they told him, nobody will ever hire you to be a leading man when you don't say anything and you got such a long neck.
And you have a squint.
Yeah, he's like, crazy. Wait, I don't say anything. I've got a long neck. No, you just can't be paid to stand there. Look menacing.
All right, we got somebody on the line now. Let's go before I forget it again. Hey, it's BK on the air. I know who this is. Hello.
This is the Colleen Show, right?
Sometimes when I feel like it. Yeah, why? You got something to talk about?
I just wanted to check because I was confused.
Oh, why were you confused? What happened?
You forgot me the first time.
I did. I'm sorry. There's another fuel for your calling us old thing that you can talk about.
I don't understand that.
Well, you know, Eric, you're younger than us, but one day people are going to do an age joke with you. They're going to be like, "What, Eric? You like that? You're so old." Come on, they're going to do it to you.
It's already happening.
Okay, well, good. I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. What's going on, man?
Now, Alan forgot Nathan Fillion, right?
Yeah, and so did I, but we do that from time to time.
I couldn't recall his name when it was immediately asked.
Right, there's a difference between forgetting it and not recalling the name, yes.
No, Alan. No.
That's how we stand, Your Honor. We're not changing our story. That's how it is. Yep, forgot. We forgot. Okay, all right, next.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about you.
So, Eric, have you ever been where you said to yourself, I need to go to the other room to get X, and on the way to X, you get a text message, a call, something, and then you finish and you go, what am I doing in this room? I knew there was something distracted you, and you totally forgot.
Has that ever happened to you?
I wasn't on the train of thought of the Nathan Fillion bandwagon. We were way over here talking something else, and all of a sudden, you remember that show Castle and that guy that you like? I'm like, It was like I had performance anxiety and my brain quit.
And that's what happened.
Hello? I told you that happened to me last week. Yes.
What happened?
I went into the kitchen.
Okay.
Something.
Okay.
I don't know what I went into to get.
Okay, good. Where this is
I'm
going.
still searching for it.
Still searching for it.
See? So it's not old. It's just sometimes your brain gets so focused on one thing, and then you distract it, it can't focus back on the other thing.
And with me, I'm at home. I leave the room to try to go get something out of the kitchen, and on the way, Mrs. BK, she grabs me. She's all over me, kissing me and stuff like that, and she can't keep her hands off of me. And stuff like that. And I forget what I went to the kitchen for. He's still there, right? Hello?
I don't know. I think you forgot how to talk.
You just take your nasty cell phone home somewhere.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
What's wrong with you?
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, sometimes
I may forget the name, but I never leave dead air.
Right. We did not forget who it was. We just couldn't recall. There is a difference.
Recall their name.
Yeah. I could have gone. I would have eventually thought of. Like we said, if you know what it is and someone tells you, you're like, oh yes, that's who it is. So you can call, just like Eric did, to chastise us or whatever you want to, 770-386-1450, BK on the air here. From WSB Television, I got another story, another robot story here. You talked about the COVID robot at the Lottobot in Canada. Had to give the robot had to give the lady the check for the lottery win. From WSB Atlanta, meet Amazon's new animated robot. Sorry, I read that wrong. Automated robot. Well, he's animated too. Scout. His name is Scout, delivering packages to a door near you. And they're doing it in Atlanta
they're doing
first.
A test here.
Pretty soon you may not get your Amazon package from a delivery truck, but a robot instead. The retail giant announced Tuesday that Amazon Scout, a fully electric delivery system designed to safely get packages to customers using robot delivery devices, will start delivering packages in Atlanta. Right in
now, this is not the drone. This is actually
on the ground.
A driverless vehicle that will come to your door.
He's not even hovering. He's on wheels. It's like a rolling robot. The robots are about the size of a cooler. Doesn't say what size cooler here. There's different size coolers. And we are designed to navigate around pets, people, and other objects as it makes its delivery, from shuffleboards to luggage to refrigerators and even Christmas trees waiting to be picked up for recycling. Our robot devices have navigated around all types of objects on the sidewalk, the company said in its blog. Amazon said they will be testing their Scout deliveries here in Atlanta this week, and the robots will be delivering packages Monday through Friday during daylight hours. With the launch of Amazon Scout, the company said more jobs will also be coming to the area. Quote, Amazon built a team of technical and operations professionals in Atlanta and will continue to grow the Amazon Scout team here in Atlanta, Georgia over time. Amazon Scout provides unique opportunities for employees to develop their skills in robotics, program management, and operations, and we're proud to bring these opportunities to the area. This is in addition to the existing 3,500 plus full-time Amazon jobs already created in Georgia, and we continue to hire, unquote, the company said. And I think that's cool.
I heard something on the radio about it, that they were probably either going to reassign or hire people to be Scout, like, chaperones during the program to make sure that they were doing what they needed to, and if there was a failure, there was a human being still there to help.
We always have to have the humans to take up the slack. I like that we're still useful.
At some point. Now it's turning around. They're doing all the work, and we're just sitting there watching them.
Amazon Scout. You know, nothing bad can happen because of all this robot stuff, right?
Attention, attention. His Eminence, the Imperious Leader, will be with us shortly. His ship has landed at the Air Dome. Presenting His Eminence, our Imperious Leader.
That's right. No way robots are going to have a problem.
Remember when the Atlanta airport, the subway there sounded like that?
I always thought it was. I'm like, it's a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica.
I thought it was so cool. Look at it. It's a computer-animated voice telling you where to go on our pilotless-driven shuttle system.
I always got people telling me where to go. Now I got robots.
I'll never forget that. I get to the theater. I get to the airport when I'm like, was really young.
Yeah.
Flying back to Michigan to go visit my buddy. Like, you are now approaching Concourse A. Please hold on. I'm like, how do you understand that if you're from another country? Now at least they've got a nice voice.
Right.
Like, hey everyone, you're approaching Concourse A.
That's one of those instances where I'm like, I wish it had the older robot sound because it was much more cooler. It reminded me of a Cylon, and I just like it better.
I don't know what program they even used to create that voice. That was the cool thing.
Right.
Nobody was. They're all robotic. It's all
yeah.
But that voice, it was so hard, even as a native speaker of English, to hear what it was saying. You are now approaching Concourse C. Please hold on. What is that? Is all one word?
Where did we cross the line of where our robots have to look like us and act like us?
Yeah,
why can't we leave them like cool, like metal robot things? That's kind of cool.
I'm okay with them sounding like real people. I don't need it to sound like a 50s robot.
But I don't want to be fooled. I know I'm going to be fooled one day.
You're already being fooled apparently when you call a lot of customer service phone calls.
Oh yeah.
You think you're talking to somebody, it's not.
But then the technology's even better with Jamie Dupree at WSB Radio in Atlanta. The way he lost his voice and is completely uses a computer synthesized voice that sounds like him.
He just keys in
which
the words.
Is incredible.
But you know what? I talked to him sometimes when there's words that it won't pronounce.
Right.
He has to phonetically, creatively spell the word so it will say it the way it needs to be said.
But they've got it to the point now where it's gotten so much better and better and better
like
and better.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. Where it doesn't now it kind of really sounds like him talking now. They've gotten better with it.
It keeps getting better and better the more they do it.
Saved his job on air. I mean, that was fantastic technology. Speaking on air, we'll be back momentarily.
Radio Shack has the hottest thing on wheels today, realistic two-way CB radio. We introduced our realistic CB line way back in 1960, and today we have 16 low-priced mobile and walkie-talkie models to choose from. Radio Shack also makes its own CB antennas, crystals, coax cables, and accessories. Equip your car, truck, or boat today with a realistic CB radio. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
In any case, you know this, you call yourself Lord of Thunder.
God of Thunder. I've never met this man in my life. He's my brother. Adopted.
Is he any kind of a fighter?
You take this thing out of my neck and I'll show you.
Oh, listen to that. He's threatening me. Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. If you want to get back to Asperg.
Asgard.
Any contender who defeats my champion, their freedom they shall win.
Fine, then point me in the direction of whoever's ass I have to kick.
That's what I call contender. Direction would be this way, Lord.
Ah, Loki! Hammer.
Quite unique. It was made from this special metal from the heart of the Darling star. And when I spun it really, really fast, it gave me the ability to fly.
You rode a hammer?
No, I didn't ride now.
The hammer rode you on your back?
No. I used to spin it really fast, and it would pull me off the...
Oh, my God. The hammer pulled you off?
The ground. It would pull me off the ground, up into the air, and I would fly. Every time I threw it would always come back to me.
Sounds like you had a pretty special and intimate relationship with this hammer, and that losing it was almost comparable to losing a loved one.
It's a nice way of putting it.
Right, little Thor Ragnarok there from.
By the way, you know
Marvel,
who's doing the voice of?
Yes,
of the other guy.
Certainly do. Tell everybody who that is in case they don't.
Taika
know
Waititi,
the director. Well, I've got a story here. The reason I played that Thor Ragnarok clip, which we think is hilarious, by the way, it was the best Thor film they've done yet.
Taika Waititi, can I tell you this? As a writer director, keep an eye on him.
Great. He's upcoming, man.
His fresh sense of humor, his timing, his pacing, and yet still do it all within an action context. He's awesome.
But knowing, when to be serious and knowing just having it all in one big ball of wax, you're right. Very talented guy. Thor, Love and Thunder, the new Thor movie, the director himself, Taika Waititi, says it's an insane romance movie. According to him, he's been pretty busy over the last few months and has a lot to look forward to. In addition to the Thor sequel, Waititi is working on his Star Wars movie, an adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He may be the best director to do a remake of that or a ongoing movie of that. So he has no problem looking for things to work on. He even found time to read James and the Giant Peach with some celebrity friends for charity during the COVID lockdown. Comic-Con is currently taking place. It's online. It's virtual. So it's the perfect time to get a Marvel Cinematic Universe update. Thor Love and Thunder was officially announced at this time last year by Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios panel. Feige took over San Diego Comic-Con last year with a ton of updates on new projects, but the Thor news was one of the biggest things he talked about. MCU fans were ecstatic to learn that Waititi was teaming up with Chris Hemsworth again, along with Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson for the new Thor film. When asked about the progress on the sequel, the director had this to say, quote, "I think it's going to be really good. We've been writing the script on and off for over a year, and I'm just this week doing another pass on it. It's so insane and it's so very romantic. I'm into romances now. I just want to make a romance. I want to make something that I've never
his way
cared
of doing
for.
It.
Yeah. I would like to attack something like that, like a romance," unquote. Waititi took to the Thor character and, along with Hemsworth, reinvented him. It was a gamble by Marvel Studios, as we remember, when Thor Ragnarok came out, but Hemsworth had grown tired of the character, and it was time for a change. Thor Ragnarok is a colorful and humorous movie with exaggerated superhero action thrown into the mix. While some fans were not into this new version of the God of Thunder, others praised it, which gave Hemsworth a renewed excitement to play the character again. There were two comic minds, school of thoughts on that film. A lot of hardcore Thor fans hated the way it was, and I'm like, well, don't you remember the comic book did have some of its comedic moments. There was one time where they turned Thor into a frog, and for several episodes he was a frog. He would turn into Thor, and he would have the hammer and everything, and he'd be a frog.
That was during the heyday of LSD.
It was in the 80s. No, it was cocaine. It was in the 80s, so it was a different kind of drug, I guess. But no, there's humor there. I personally love Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was a great fun movie, comic book movie that made us have a good time.
I love it. And, one of the things I had heard was they said it's not so much a Thor sequel as sort of a reinvention of Thor into what we wanted him to become.
Right.
And I love it. I think Taika Waititi is a great writer-director. And he's the one who, if you've seen The Mandalorian Season 1, he directed the final episode, had the funny exchange between the two speeder bike troopers and the Baby Yoda.
And it was great.
And he did the voice of the assassination, the IG-88 bot.
In addition of Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor, and I think she's becoming a Thor character. She's becoming Thor in this one. She's going to have the hammer and everything. Something's going to happen to make her assume the Thor position, and Thor was a woman for a while too in the comic book. It caught a lot of people off guard, especially since she did not appear in Thor Ragnarok. Jane wasn't even in.
Well, it makes sense that she wouldn't because Thor was taken off world and kidnapped.
That's right. As to specifics about the element of the story, Waititi and crew are keeping their lips sealed, but the director did stress that the writing will still be taking place well into post-production. Marvel Studios productions are currently evolving, so it will be interesting to see how Thor: Love and Thunder ends up. It seems like Taika is not interested in repeating himself, so fans can expect the upcoming sequel to have some pretty big changes from his first MCU experience, though his trademark humor will more than likely be present. Well, there you go. Talk about a fresh director that can bring it to the table. I don't think it's going to be the first bad movie. Let's hope that he doesn't have one. Maybe he will. But I'm looking forward to Thor: Love
I still have
Thunder.
to see Jojo Rabbit, which is something he did.
Me too. I haven't seen
that.
that.
And I've heard nothing but good things from it, unless you're easily triggered.
Right. No, that's right. I'm easily triggered. You shouldn't even listen to this show if you're easily triggered by something.
You wouldn't have survived
I'll
this
trigger
long.
somebody about something.
So I think he's one of those, just you keep an eye on him. To me, he's that Christopher Nolan. When you first heard about Christopher Nolan, like,
you know who he was.
He did a couple of these movies that are pretty good, kind of quirky, then you reinvent Batman, you're like, oh my God, who is this Christopher Nolan guy?
Yeah, a lot of these
And then he
people
brings
are like
Inception,
that.
and now I can't wait to see Tenet. I've seen that preview now about 5 times in the theater.
It's more likely now you're going to see it next year.
It won't
for a
be,
while
I
they're
know.
gonna release it. I'm like, come on, but don't rush things. But the movie is done. I hope the movie's open before the end of the year. I really do.
Yeah, because we talked about, we thought in July we'd get Tenet and Mulan, the live-action movie from Disney.
And then AMC and some of them were saying, well, maybe August we'll open up.
We're going to have to roll it back. We have to roll it back.
Yeah. Just keep showing old ones. We'll go see the old movies, I guess, to keep our appetites wet. I got a story here that I told you is going to gross you out, and it kind of grossed me out too, but you for more than one reason. You know how KFC and some of the restaurants do promotions. They do kind of outrageous things to kind of get you interested in what they're doing. You know, KFC actually had a chicken candle.
Right.
You know?
Smell like you've brought chicken in.
And then they had, I think, a rug or whatever, bearskin rug or something like that. They had some goofy things that were just infused with the chicken smell. And I'm like, I love the smell of chicken, and I like, Kentucky Fried Chicken when it's fried right. It smells right. But I don't know if I want a Kentucky Fried Chicken scented candle in my house. I don't know if I want to smell that all the time. Well, they're doing something else now.
Uh-oh.
And you're going to love this.
Oh, no. Does it have to do with feet?
Fans of Kentucky Fried Chicken will soon be able to show their love for the fast food chain with a pair of branded clogs from Crocs.
Oh.
Yes, it includes feet.
So it looks like my feet are embedded in, like, what? A bucket of chicken?
Oh, it just doesn't look like it. The limited edition shoes, Kentucky Fried Chicken X Crocs Classic Clog, come 5 months after the two companies partnered with a 4.5-inch platform bucket clog shoe that debuted during a New York Fashion Week. Now, this is from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Quote, now, starting on July the 18th, Crocs and KFC fans will be able to purchase the not quite as tall but equally as stylish Kentucky Fried Chicken X Crocs Classic Clog shoes. Try to say that for $59.99 on Crocs.com. The striking and more wearable 1.5-inch classic Crocs were designed to feel comfortable and look like KFC's iconic red and white striped chicken bucket. Toe box and the heel strap feature a close-up fried chicken print, while two chicken scented and removable giblets shoe charm embellishments for Crocs are included to dress up the clogs further. That's right, I said chicken scented removable gibbets on there, so your feet can smell like the chicken.
So that way, as you're walking around and you're sitting there going, God, I wish I could have some chicken right now.
Here, just take my shoes.
Yeah. You know what they're hoping for? The same thing with the candle is that you'll get the taste for Kentucky Fried Chicken and go buy it.
I know, but I don't. I think this. I'll be reminded it's on someone's shoes, and I won't want it. To me, it'll kind of backfire. But I don't know
if you don't see somebody wearing it, but you just smell chicken coming up, like wafting up from underneath the table.
Okay, I smell chicken, but I don't want to look down. I don't want to look down. Maybe someone in the next office has some. Maybe
my
that's
luck,
what it
they'd
is.
be
Yeah.
sitting behind me in the airplane.
On the airplane. And that big clog comes up right beside your face.
Talk
on the
about
one in front
mixed
of you.
emotions. I've got feet next to me, but they smell like fried chicken.
You're like, I'm so torn.
I should bite into that, but are you kidding me? It's a foot.
And if you look behind you and it's Charlize Theron on the plane with you, and you're
okay,
like, oh, wait a minute. That may
every
be...
rule goes out the window when it's Charlize Theron.
Different.
Okay?
770-386-1450 is our number. Somebody's calling right now. Hey, it's BK on the air. Hello.
Speaking of commercials, have you seen that stupid one for Kroger?
No, I
The
haven't.
little guy in the green.
No.
He's in a green suit. He's got a big old pot belly, and he's exercising. He runs out of something green, so he jumps in his car and runs to Kroger's. He's standing upside down in the seat with his feet out the moon, shaking and exercising.
I have not seen this commercial yet.
No.
It makes me want to run away from Kroger.
I haven't seen that yet. We'll be on the lookout for that, Jeff. I appreciate it. Sounds like your dog likes it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Neil.
All right.
At least somebody likes me around here.
Yeah, hey, we love you. Keep on calling, buddy. Always listen to the show. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Maybe not fans. I might be going too far. We love our listeners.
I thought I've seen it all, but I haven't seen that commercial.
I have not seen
That's
that
kinda
commercial.
funny.
And we have a TV on in here the whole time I'm in here, usually kind of monitoring what's going on.
Because, we get bored and we want to watch TV, we're on the air. Something not as good. Well, the good thing about the Crocs, the chicken Crocs at KFC.
That's a crock of chicken.
Every pair of the new Crocs sold, KFC will donate $3 to the KFC Foundation's REACH educational grant program, which helps the company fund scholarships for KFC employees at participating U.S. restaurants. So if it's for a good cause, then I guess I'm for it. Then I'm all for it. That's
wow.
Cool. So, look at this. We're creeping up to the top of the hour. The show is almost over, and we've almost burned up
of
2 complete hours. We're in chicken Crocs.
She just gets better looking every time I look at her.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking forward if she does another Mad Max movie. That would
she could be bald, shaved, covered in grease. Just got done shooting all day.
You sound like bald, shaved, plucked, covered in grease. Sound like you're going to fry her at KFC.
Scattered, smothered, covered in chunked. I'd take her.
Well, while Alan calms down here, I'm glad we're going off the air. We'll be back next week with more VK on the air, I promise. See you next week.
And that's the end.